If I could call to order, Kathleen Ailes.
Here.
James Bell.
Here.
Amy Kalen.
Here.
Brian Chedney. Brandon Legault.
Here.
Tom Chapla.
Here.
And Samuel Tripp.
Here.
If you would all join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, I will turn the floor over to the superintendent, Dr. Buai.
Why don't we follow the agenda the
Follow
way
the
it's,
agenda?
and that'll give us a little time, because
Okay.
we're waiting on a principal.
Okay. Any unfinished business? I do not have any for tonight.
I
So-
just have one question. I know that we were going to do, I think, a follow-up on the survey and any new information. Did you have any new information? I know we talked about the last meeting.
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. Carrie and I have been working on gathering some information on some just right companies that do research-based surveying for districts. It's interesting because some additional companies are coming out because some of the new ESSA requirements ask for some surveying. So we're looking at 4 companies right now. One's called PLC. That's a company that we've used before. They do some personalized surveying. There's another company that we like called K-12 Insight, and their surveying is based on 5 key areas for districts to look at. The third is called Panorama. And the fourth is one that just came in this week. The company is called Thought Exchange, and it's being endorsed by Dr. Chris Brown, who's the superintendent of West Genesee. So we actually have the vendor from that company coming in next week. The information that comes from that particular vendor can be converted into a strategic plan. So that might be a vendor that we could use to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It would give you ground level information that you could turn into a portion of a long-range strategic plan that would focus on district culture.
Now, is it, since West Jenny rather used
Yes.
it, would we be able to see like what that?
I sent an email to, yeah, we'll be able to see it. In fact, in their promotional information, Chris does a promotional video where he talks about the use of the product. So that's what really led me to believe in its legitimacy, because everybody has a product. But if it's endorsed by Chris, then I believe that it's good. And I emailed him today and asked if we could chat about it. And the vendor is actually going to come in next week and talk to us about that one. The others are really a map, because we're familiar with 2 of the companies, K-12 Insight and the PLC. It would come down to cost, and if they have a product that's aligned to what we want.
And,
So we'll just continue to update you as we get closer and closer to a product that we like.
Okay, how about as far as like a date? Do we have an idea of like, are we thinking that if we do all this, that we want it to go out the beginning of next year, the end of this year?
Oh, no,
Like,
I think we want it to go out, as soon as we can target a strategy that we like, a product that we like, and we can settle on a cost that we think is a good value for the product, then we work with that company to personalize the initiative. And because we're looking for a foundation, I think we can do it at any time.
okay.
I don't think we have to wait for next fall.
I would think the sooner the better, in case there's something we need to do for next fall.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
because
what I think.
I thought it
I
was
was
something
thinking
we
too.
wanted to do as soon as we could do it.
Right. And I think I was just thinking as far as like, anytime you're going to do something, when you set a date, like by this date, I want to have it done, that's kind of a good idea just to have that. So that's, I guess, what I was referencing, like, you go through all this legwork to get the information, get the pricing, create the survey, and then, knowing that we'd like to have it done by,
I think a
Build it,
reasonable
build it.
target would be the beginning of the 2nd semester, because we don't know how long it takes for these, once we settle on a company, we're not sure what the turnaround time would be for customization. But if we did second half of the year, then they could generate, collate, and disaggregate the data to provide us reports by the end of the year so that we could build them into our improvement plan for next year.
No, you said you were going to be sitting, your rep was coming in when?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, Karen's got a date for me to initially meet with him.
and that's with Chris? that
No,
you
it's-
meet,
it's
or
the
with
vendor.
the
It's the
vendor?
vendor.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm assuming if we were.
It's next
available-
week.
if
It's
we
next
were
week,
available,
right?
could we sit in on it?
I think eventually, if that's the vendor that we choose, we would ask the vendor to come in and maybe do a presentation for all of you.
It's the 23rd, isn't it?
Okay.
And I know that I spoke with Mr. Cordone, the president of the school board at Fulton, and I can't think, I was looking to see if I could find my email. They just did a survey, district-wide survey, and he spoke very highly of the company, and I want to say it started with a P, but I don't think it's that PLC, I think it's something else.
Do you know about that, Heidi? Because I think,
They just did it,
didn't we
whether-
talk about a survey that came out of Fulton? Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't.
We've talked about so many that. We can talk to them.
Okay.
I can talk.
And I
Brian
can
and
find my
see.
email, but I just knew that that was a good, taking a
Have they
look to
completed
see.
it? Have they
They have
done it?
completed
So
it,
they've
they've
done it
gotten
and
all
they've
their
got the
feedback, and
results?
he said it was wonderful. The information that they got, they were able to really personalize it to the information that they were looking for, and then in the way that it was collated, the data that they got, I mean, they all spoke really highly of it, so.
Carrie, are they still in accountability? Would that be a requirement for them?
They are still, we're under the.
We can call, we can call either Brian or Betsy tomorrow.
Okay.
It could be one of our four. I
Right,
don't know.
it might be.
Okay.
Any other items? Next is the Board of Education, and I am asking the board to amend the agenda to add a seeker resolution, and that is part of our capital project vote. And we do have Brody Smith here tonight, and I'll invite him up from Bonchonic and King, and he is going to discuss what the seeker is and to go over the resolution. If I could have a motion to amend the agenda to include the seeker resolution.
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Brody, would you like to come up?
Sorry if I sit up here, I just want to be able to hear. Sure, if you want to
And I
say.
have a microphone for you also.
Oh, I'll bring it up so the public can hear what I'm saying too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So may I hand something out to the board?
Do that for you?
Sure. I'll just take that side. So what I'm handing to you is the environmental assessment form. The environmental assessment form is a tool that the board uses to comply with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is commonly referred to as SECR. So everyone can hear, my name is Brody Smith. I'm an attorney at Bonchonic and King. I'm here to walk you through the requirements of SECR in connection with the proposed capital improvement project. The form that I've given you is something you've seen before. The board saw it in January anyway. I know there's been a few changes since then. And it is divided into three parts. And this is a form promulgated by the state of New York, by the DEC, to help you comply with the requirements of SECR, which requires you to consider the environmental impacts of a decision before the board makes it. And it's meant to structure that conversation. It's not meant to be rigid. It's meant for you to interrupt me and to prompt discussion if there's any questions or any concerns. I'll try to move through this form relatively quickly with you today because by way of background, this board has already considered the environmental impacts of this project on two different occasions. First, in 2012. The project changed a little bit between 2012 and January 2018, but those changes were all reductions in impact, not expansions. And then the changes from January 2018 to now are pretty modest. So I'm giving you forms that have already been filled out so you can see what was done in January, and you can reach a determination as to whether any changes are warranted. So the second document that I'm passing out to you is a photograph, or a drawing prepared by the district's engineers. And on the front page of it, it depicts what the board considered for the athletic field improvements back in January. And the second page depicts what is being proposed now. And you will note that the two drawings are almost exactly the same. The only difference is what was previously going to be a refurbishment of the track surrounding a grass field is now proposed to be replaced with 2 soccer practice fields. So there will be no change in the amount of acreage that is disturbed. From an environmental point of view, I don't see this as a substantive change that ought to change the impacts, but that is something for the board ultimately to decide. The other thing before I begin and move through this form to take into consideration, though the project hasn't changed much in terms of the construction plan between now and January, it is possible for you to reach different conclusions on any of these questions based on changes in circumstances. The world has changed a bit from January to now. But in the context of this project, my recommendation to this board after going through the questions myself, I didn't see any major changes to answers to any of these questions. I don't think the traffic patterns and the properties that are at issue have changed drastically. I don't think the infrastructure has changed. I don't think the population density has changed. So that's the background of the project. Part 1 is a document that was prepared by the district with the help of its engineers and us, and that describes background information about the project. It gives you acreage, gives you information about depth to groundwater, about the details about the land, its proximity to development neighborhoods, all sorts of technical background information about the project. As you flip through there, you see the zoning, and ultimately, when you get to page 10 of it, you see it was signed by the superintendent of schools, Dean Goey, and then you begin part 2. So part 1 provides background information. Part 2 is an issue spotting exercise. There are 18 questions in part 2. I have provided you the exact part 2 document that we filled out together in January. You can see it's filled out by hand based on the conversation that was had by this board in January. If you determine that any of the potential impacts based on these 18 questions is potentially moderate to large, that doesn't mean you don't do the project. That doesn't mean that you're going to require an environmental impact statement. It does mean that we're going to talk about it in the final part, in part 3, where you ultimately make the determination on seeker as to whether something is going to have a significant adverse impact on the environment. So I'm going to move through part 2 relatively quickly. Tell me if you want me to stop or slow down. The reason I'm going to go through it a little bit faster than I might otherwise is this is the 3rd time you've done it on this project. So stop me if something's changed or any conclusions have changed. Question 1 of part 2 asks whether there be a impact on land. This question should be answered yes if a proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land or the surface of the proposed site. Our recommendation, based on review of the project, is the answer to this question yes. We've also reviewed the sub-questions to question 1, and we would recommend that you answer no or small impact on all of the sub-questions. And the reason being, there will be some disturbance to land, but no significant impacts in terms of working on slope, in terms of removing a lot of tonnage of natural material and all that. So if I could just get a verbal reaction from the board, do you agree that the question ought to be answered yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Question 2 is impact on geological features. This question should be answered yes if the proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit the access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. I recommend that you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
Number 3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water. I recommend that you answer this question yes, because part of the athletic field, part of the project is going to alter some stormwater patterns. And in particular, there are going to be improvements to the project which will help reduce flooding in the proximity of the football field in particular. Do you agree that this question should be answered yes?
Yes.
When the board previously reviewed this, you went through the sub-questions A through K and decided that all of them should be answered no or small impact. Do you still agree that they should be?
Yes.
Question 4 is impact on groundwater. This question should be answered yes if the proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. I recommend that you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Number 5, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development of land subject to flooding. I recommend you answer this question yes, and all the sub-questions no. The reason being for what I just stated, there will be certain improvements associated with this project to reduce flooding, which is a problem in the north west corner of the property where the football field is located. Do you agree?
Yes.
Number 6 is impacts on air. This involves state-regulated air emission sources. I recommend you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
Number 7 is impact on plants and animals. I recommend that you answer this question yes, but then answer all the sub-questions no. The reason being, there will be some disturbance of the land, but there are there's no evidence of endangered or threatened species being present on any of the properties where work is going to happen. In this region, and it's noted in Part 1 and in the resolution, there are endangered species in the region in the form of in particular, a couple bat species, but there's no indication that this project would have any impact on bat habitat. Do you agree that the question should be answered yes and the sub-questions answered no?
Yes.
Number 8, impact on agricultural resources. I recommend that you answer this question no. There'll be no impact on farming. Do you agree?
Yes.
On aesthetic resources, there'll be no obvious impact on aesthetic resources. I recommend that you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
The next question, number 10, asks about impacts on historic or archaeological resources. This involves where excavation is in an area where there's known archaeological resources. I recommend that you answer this question no. There's no evidence of that. Do you agree?
Yes.
Impact on open space and recreation. You should answer this question yes if there's a loss of recreational opportunities or reduction in open space resources as designated by a municipal open space plan. I recommend that you answer this question no. If anything, this project will improve recreational and open space. Do you agree?
Yes.
Next question discusses impact on critical environmental areas. I recommend you answer this question no because there are no critical environmental areas in the properties in question. Do you agree?
Yes.
Next is impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. I recommend that you answer this question yes, but answer the sub-questions no. Reason being is there'll be addition of parking, and there'll be a shift as to where people will go to park for these athletic fields. On balance, the intent of the project is to improve that situation and reduce the amount of people parking in the right-of-way around the street. Do you agree?
Yes.
Number 14 is impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in any form of use of energy. I recommend the answer to the question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
And then number 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. I recommend that you answer this question yes, but answer the sub-questions no. Reason being is there are lights associated with the athletic fields. There'll be some noise and odor associated with construction, but those disruptions will be temporary and not likely to be significant. Do you agree?
Yes.
Number 16, there's only 3 left. Impact on human health. This question should be answered yes if the proposed action may have an impact on human health from the exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants. I recommend you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
17 is consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. If that's true, you should answer this question no. I don't believe that to be true. All the construction will be happening on existing school facilities that are currently put to that use, so I recommend that you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
And the final question is consistency with community character. You should answer this question yes if the proposed project is inconsistent with existing community character. As I stated before, this project is improvements to properties that are already used for a school purpose, so I recommend that you answer this question no. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So you have completed part 2 of the EAF and part 1 of the EAF. The final part of the EAF is part 3. In part 3, if you flip to the second page, you will see there's 3 boxes labeled A, B, and C. A is, you should check A if you believe this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this is a negative declaration is issued. So if you answer A, that ends the seeker review because you believe that it is not likely that there'll be a significant adverse impact on the environment that will result from the project. Letter B is the same but with conditions, and letter C is the opposite conclusion, that you determine that this project will have is likely to have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and that therefore additional study is required in the form of the preparation of the environmental impact statement by the district's consultants, which is a longer process and a more detailed process. To aid you in making this determination, before you vote, if you turn the page to the next page, I've included a 5-page description that was prepared with the help of the school district's architects and engineers, and they identify impacts. These are the impacts that we just discussed. It tells you where the water table is on the project. It discusses that a stormwater pollution prevention plan will be required and a speedies permit. It discusses impacts on plants and animals. 4 acres of land will be cleared. It discusses each of the questions that we went through. You reviewed this in detail in January, and this part of it has not changed. At this time, I would like to answer any questions you may have about what we just went through, and then, once I answer your questions, we can proceed with completing part 3.
Anybody have any questions?
No?
I just had a question regarding that area in the floodplain, because recently it changed down in that area within the last 2 years. Have that been all taken into consideration as well?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I know that is an evolving problem.
Yeah.
And this was studied in the fall all the way through to December of 2017. So this statement that is attached where the engineers go through and consider all that in your part 1 of the EAF, the vintage of it is all January 8, 2018. So it does take into account the situation at that time. If you believe that the flooding situation has changed significantly since January 8, 2018, and that the plan should be altered to deal with it in a different way, then that's something we should discuss further.
No, I was just curious because I know it recently changed, whether it was FEMA really changed down that area in terms of expanded it in that area. But as long as 2018 should be recent enough to cover that. So.
That's an excellent question, though. Yeah.
Brody, you referenced the northwest corner of, and it's really the southwest corner.
Oh, I apologize. I misspoke.
Just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear on that. We all understood it.
Thank you for that correction.
I think everything's the same down there that it was when they engineered all the bladders and whatever it is that they got to do in front of the field. I don't think anything's changed. Hillside and Utica Street, right? Is that a reference?
I just know because I own a piece of property in that
Oh, I
area
know.
that they changed. Someone had told me about that change in FEMA. I don't know if FEMA came in or whatever, and it raised that up. And but it's been considered, so we're all good.
There's an elevation on the field as well as a bladder receptive
Right.
system.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they would be responsible to those new nothing physical has changed, but the regulations have.
Correct.
Yes, they have.
And so in the proposed resolution, which I'll hand out now. And this is relevant to the conversation we're having and may be helpful. I included a written elaboration of some of these issues.
Thank you.
I included a written elaboration of some of these issues. And if you flip a few pages in, you'll see where we talk about the flooding. And it mentions that when there are large storm events, that that there's flooding in that area. And that part of the object of the plan is to install engineering solutions to mitigate that. Hand out my last one. Sorry. So specifically what I'm referring to, and I'll just read it to you since I know this is the biggest issue, is as part of the athletic field project, flooding is discussed in paragraph number 7. And it says the board noted that there will be some impacts to flooding. Those impacts will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Current portions of athletic fields experience flooding during severe rainstorms, particularly in the location of the new football stadium. The athletic field project will reduce the instances of flooding by installing new stormwater detention infrastructure in the form of a tank and new outfall pipes. And while we're on the subject, the rest of this resolution, this provides you background about what was done. You know, I won't read it all out loud, but you know, some of what we discussed in terms of the previous review being done in March 27th of 2012, we had a review on January 8th of 2018. Lead agency letters were sent in connection with your previous negative declaration in January 2018. The only part I'll emphasize here, the part that changed, the district has again proposed to move forward with the project in which to comply with seeker. The project has only changed slightly from the previous seeker review that occurred in January 2018. Namely, the track and field facility will instead be converted to soccer practice fields. This change has no impact on the effect of the project on the environment. It does not necessitate any changes to Part 1 of the EAF, nor does it necessitate resending the above referenced referral letters. Also, although some time has passed since the previous negative declaration, the conditions in the community and the information in Part 1 EAF have not changed. So that is, we want to make sure that the board's comfortable with that statement. I think we've had a bit of a conversation about that, which is very good for our record. So if the board, if there are no further questions, my recommendation would be a motion to check box A and determine that there's no significant adverse impact on the environment expected from the project, unless the board disagrees. And you know, the alternative would be to check box C.
At this time, could we have a motion for this resolution?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So that motion completes the EAF. I would also recommend that you have a voice vote to approve the resolution that we just discussed, which is a written elaboration of what we just did and will really kind of help establish your record.
Do we have a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So you have issued a negative declaration that has completed your obligations under seeker. There's certain publication and notice requirements that must be complied with. We'll work with district staff to make sure that those publication steps are taken. And this now frees you up, if you wish, at this time to discuss the bond resolutions. Would you like me to proceed to that step now?
Yes.
So I'm gonna first pass out the bond resolution dated October 16th, 2018.
Thank you.
So this bond resolution is the first step to the process to putting this out for a ballot initiative for the bond. The parts of it that I would direct your attention to are the numbers. So in section 1, there's a description of the project, and as you know, and for the benefit of the public that doesn't have these documents in front of us, I won't read them all out loud, but this project involves not just the athletic field project, but significant renovations to the interior of buildings. And so this resolution, you see, lists all the different school properties where work would be done. So the total estimated cost is not to exceed $63,100,000. The issuance of the bond would be an amount up to $57,200,000, with the appropriation and expenditure of up to $5,900,000 from the school's district's capital reserve fund. So some of the money comes from a capital reserve fund. Most of the money would come from a bond. It is anticipated, you see in section 4, that the probable usefulness of this project, of the changes, would be 30 years. The rest of this you've seen before. This goes through and checks all the boxes that you need to comply with state law when taking action on a resolution such as this. Does the board have any questions about this bond resolution? Okay. If you wish to go forward, I'd recommend taking action on this resolution next.
Could I have a motion for the bond resolution, please?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The final document that I'll distribute to you is the resolution of the board to hold a special meeting.
Sorry about that.
This resolution will set the date for the vote. There's also a blank in the resolution on the second page that you have to set a date for registration to be complete. This would be the final step to going forward. You also see in the resolution there are descriptions of the notices that will be published to give the public notice of the bond resolution. Note in the notices that it includes the figures that were in the bond resolution that you just passed. Are there any questions about this document? If the board wishes to go forward, this would be the final step, and I recommend that you fill in the blank on that registration date.
And I have a resolution for that.
Oh, you do? Oh, you have something separate next?
Yep.
Okay. Then you could vote on it now and do that separately if you wish. Okay.
Could I have a motion, please? On the special meeting?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. That completes the seeker and the bond resolutions and the special meeting resolutions. We've provided an estoppel notice to the district, and we will aid them. There's certain publication requirements also required with regard to the bond notice, so the public has notice of when the vote will be and where it will be and all that. So we'll assist your staff with making sure that those publication requirements are met, and you're set for December 18th.
Okay. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the annual Oswego City School District December 18, 2018 capital project vote, designation of voter registration days. If I could have, let me read the dates for you. That the Board of Education does here designate Monday, February 20th, 2018 between the hours of 9 and 5 is the date on which the Board of Registration of said school district will meet at 183 East Seneca Street, Oswego, New York, in said school district for the purpose of preparing a register for each school district for the 2018 capital project vote to be held on December 18, 2018. The final date to register to vote in the Oswego City School District 2018 capital project vote is Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. Registration is conducted at the Oswego County Board of Elections at 183 Seneca Street in Oswego, New York. Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Next is the December 18, 2018 capital project vote, Board of Registration appointment, that the Board of Education appoint Joanne Bateman, Stephanie Fall, and Karen Canale, residing in the Oswego City School District, Oswego, New York, as the Board of Registration of the Oswego City School District for the term commencing on December 4th, 2018 to June 29, 2018. Could I have a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Next is the inspectors and alternate inspectors for the December 18, 2018 Oswego City School District 2018 capital project vote. There is a list of names. I can read them all if you want me to. Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. The next one is the agreement between the Oswego County Board of Elections and the Oswego City School District, December 2018 capital project. And if I could have a motion.
Move it.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Tonight's an exciting night. This is our third year that we have set aside some time in the fall to introduce and welcome all new instructional staff to the Oswego City School District. Those of us that work at central office, administrators of the schools, other faculty and staff, welcome all the new staff. And tonight's an opportunity for the board to put faces with names for some of you that we're not familiar with. For the new teachers, they understand that coming to Oswego as a new teacher is an honor. It is something that you should treasure and work very hard for. We welcome you with open arms, and with that comes very high expectations that you teach and nurture our children well. But we welcome you, and I'm going to ask each principal to come to the mic, introduce their new staff, tell us a little bit about them, and I would ask the new staff members to simply stand in your place. We're not going to parade you up front. All right, you can if you want to. And I wanted to thank Minetto School and Mrs. Sullivan. They did provide some refreshments, and that everyone's welcome to go back and forth. We're not going to break for a reception, but thank you, Jenny, for doing that. And I first would like to welcome Mr. Wallace from the Oswego High School to the mic. You can parade them up if you want, Pat. It's up to you.
Come on up.
I've asked the principals to introduce their new faculty and tell us just a little bit about them.
Go in order. First, I want to, hello?
You're good.
First, I want to introduce Megan Cullen. Megan attended, this is Megan Cullen. Megan attended SUNY Geneseo for undergrad and graduate degree majoring in math and secondary education. She also attended an audio engineering school and has a technical degree. Megan currently teaches Algebra 1, Graphing Calculator, our new course AP Computer Science Principles, and co-teaches Fundamentals Algebra 2 at Oswego High School. Megan helps out, for hobbies, Megan helps out at her friend's music studio in her free time and is the assistant director of the Baldwinsville Marching Bees in Baldwinsville. And I also asked teachers what they liked about teaching in Oswego. Megan said she enjoys the smaller atmosphere of the Oswego City School District, teaching her energetic students, and loves learning from her talented coworkers. And this is Megan Cullen. The next person is Shane Evans. Shane just recently joined us. Shane got his education from Loyola College in Bachelor of Arts in 2015. He has a major in history with concentration in dual adolescent and special education. In 2017, he got a Master's of Arts from Oswego State, majoring in American history, minoring in women's history. He currently is teaching special education at Oswego High School and students ranging from grade 9 through 12. I quote Shane, "I enjoy working within the Oswego City School District because of the incredible network of supportive staff members. In particular, the special education department is staffed with exceptional teachers willing to offer any advice and technical assistance." Shane's hobbies include drawing and painting, reading, and playing tennis. Shane is also the head coach of the men's and women's tennis program at SUNY Oswego. Please welcome Shane up. The next person I'd like to welcome is Sarah Hard. Sarah Hard is from Garrison, New York. She graduated from SUNY Oswego in May 2018. She currently teaches ELA 10 and ELA 11. And so when I asked them to write their biographies, they did such a good job, I decided just to read what they wrote. So in my free time, Sarah says, I enjoy cooking and getting any outdoor activities that I can before the weather gets too cold. Sarah's first experience was teaching in the Oswego City School District last year, when she was assigned here as a practicum student in English 10-12 classroom. After her very first day, she knew that this school was where she wanted to begin her career. I'm going to change it into the first person. As a few weeks after graduating this past summer, Sarah said, I received a phone call that an English position was opening up, and once the application went live, I made sure that mine was submitted right away. After several weeks of interviews and hoping for good news, I received a phone call offering the dream job here at OHS. Since then, it has been a whirlwind of grading, planning, meeting new people, and getting into the swing of being a new teacher. But through it all, I can confidently say that I love my students, I love my job, and there's nowhere else that I would rather be working. The next person I'd like to introduce is Sean Nagel. Sean got his undergraduate in technology education from SUNY Oswego. He has a master's in curriculum development and instructional technology from SUNY Albany. He teaches technology education courses in drawing and design production, principles of engineering and engineering design and development. His hobbies are woodworking, construction, and hiking. And he wrote Teaching in the Oswego City School District. He likes to work with students that have an aptitude for technology and helping students grow in their knowledge of the technical world in a hands-on setting. Sean Nagel. I have one more person that wasn't able to be here, Amelia Ray. She's doing CPI de-escalation training right now. She's done today. Amelia Ray is a graduate of Syracuse University, where she attained a degree in broadcast journalism from the Newhouse School of Communication and a degree in political science from the Maxwell School of Citizenship. She furthered her passion for education by completing requirements at Syracuse University for a master's degree in English 7 through 12 and a master's degree in inclusive education. She is thrilled to be able to come back to a community she both grew up in and loves, and helps to instill a love of learning to students who will become the next leader of our community and our future. In Amelia's spare time, she enjoys reading Victorian literature, playing on her pianoforte, gardening, restoring crumbling down structures, running near Lake Ontario, and attending the Episcopal Church on Sundays. So I'd like to introduce Amelia Ray. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure working with everybody, and everybody hit the ground running, and everybody's doing a great job.
Thank you, Pam.
Good.
Great job. Thank you. Mrs. Fierro from the Oswego Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dean, first of all, thank you for doing this. I love that you do this. I'm glad that you've made this an annual tradition at Oswego. Thank you. And all the new teachers in the audience tonight that are here with me at the middle school, I envy you because you are just starting what's going to be, I think, the best 30-plus years of your life, and I'm getting to the end, and it makes me sad. So congratulations to all of you. So we actually have 5 new people at the middle school this year, but one is going to get announced because he's splitting his time between other buildings. He's going to be announced with another building. So I had them all printed out, except for Mr. Lee's. I apologize, I think I printed it, but I had to dig out your email. So I'm reading it off a picture, so I apologize. So our new art teacher at the middle school this year, his name is Mr. Lee, Aaron Lee. And Aaron is originally, he has his, I'm sorry, I'll read your college education. He has his Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design from SUNY Oswego and a Master's in Art Education from SUNY Oswego as well. His hometown is Mexico, New York. Outside of school, he enjoys swimming, interviewing artists, and reviewing music. And Aaron would like to share with us this evening that he currently has an art show that is up and running at the Art Association of Oswego. Aaron Lee. And I'm going in alphabetic order, so I'm going to Ms. Russell, down at the end. Ms. Russell is new to this permanent position at the middle school, but not new to our district or to our building. I've been at the middle school 8 years, and Missy has been in some capacity at the middle school for 8 years, on and off, or in one of the other buildings in the district. This is her first permanent position. So Missy has an associate's degree from Cayuga Community College in liberal arts. She has her bachelor's in elementary ed pre-K through 6 from SUNY Oswego and a master's in literacy B12, birth through 12 from SUNY Oswego as well. She joins us as our new literacy specialist at the middle school. Her hometown is Oswego, New York, where she proudly walked the halls of Layton, Oswego Middle School, and Oswego High School. You don't want to tell us from class. I don't want to tell you that. Outside interest Missy wants to share with us is that she enjoys reading, spending time with her son and family, cheering on the Dallas Cowboys, and SU football and basketball, and traveling. And when asked if there was anything else she'd like to share, Missy said she's very thankful to have been given the chance to help improve her students' reading abilities and help them become lifelong readers. Also, she's proud to be the program coordinator of she put the acronym and I was drawing a blank. Blessings in a Backpack for Oswego, and to be feeding over 300 students. Missy Russell, great job. I'm not feeling 100% tonight, so I apologize because I think I've taken 120 Dayquils today. So if I'm acting a little, that's why. All right, Jennifer Stace is our new 7th grade math teacher. She joined us on the 7 South team. And Jennifer has her Bachelor's of Science in Adolescent Education with a concentrate.
No, they're both.
This is a dual major in physics and math from SUNY Cortland. Nice job, Jen. Her hometown is Liverpool, New York, and she attended Liverpool High School. Outside of teaching at the Oswego Middle School, Jennifer teaches dance at the Infinity Dance Academy in Baldwinsville, New York. She loves to dance, sing, go to the movies, and see live theater. And Jennifer is excited for and enjoying her time so far at the Oswego Middle School. Jennifer Stace. And Christina Taylor is our new phys ed teacher at the middle school. Christina's educational background includes she graduated from Wellsville High School in 2006. She shared her year. She graduated from Ashland University in Ashland, Ohio with her bachelor's in education, physical education, and her master's in education, specializing, or is it a master's in adaptive PE?
Yeah, my
the actual master's is in adaptive PE.
In education with a major in adaptive PE.
Nice. From Ashland University in Ashland, Ohio. Her hometown is Wellsville, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but she actually moved back up here from Orlando, Florida. There seems like there's something wrong with that, Christina, but yeah, we're glad you're here. Outside. The Dayquil. I mean, I love Oswego, but you moved back up here from Orlando? That's impressive. Outside interests include she loves to travel. She has been to over 25 countries, and she's always working on planning her next trip. Anything else that she'd like to share? She said that she's excited to be back in New York, closer to her family and part of this great district. Christina Taylor.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Next, Dr. Doty from Riley School.
I'd also like to thank you for inviting us here today. We're excited. These are 4 of my new Buccaneers that I have with me. And I guess I'll start right on the end here. I have with me first Robert Insalago, and Robert attended SUNY Oswego, graduated with a degree in childhood education, grades 1 through 6. After Oswego, he attended St. Joseph's College to earn his master's degree in early childhood special education. After college, he did return back to Oswego and was married in 2015. Before teaching in Oswego, he taught in Syracuse, Mexico, and he was a supervisor for the for Head Start program in Wayne County. And he is currently a kindergarten teacher at Riley, so we think we landed a really good person for that position. In 2017, his daughter Josephine was born, and he and his wife are excited for her to be a future Buccaneer. Robert. Next to Robert, I have Shannon Wells. Shannon received her bachelor's degree in education and master's in literacy, both from Oswego State. She stayed home for about 12 years to raise her 4 children. Her oldest son is a freshman and part of the PTAC program through BOCES. She has a daughter at the Oswego Middle School who's part of the National Honor Society, and 2 of her children attend Minetto Elementary, where she was for many years on the board of Home and School Association. Her youngest child went to kindergarten. When she first went to kindergarten, she joined the Oswego City School District as one of the best TAs that Riley has ever seen, while working on her recertification because that had lapsed. She had the pleasure of working with the special education teacher for both 5th and 6th grade teams. She's currently a 4th grade inclusion teacher at Charles E. Riley, and that is Shannon Wells. Next to Shannon, I have Maria Conway, who's brand new to our building. And Maria is our new 4th grade teacher at Charles E. Riley. She graduated from SUNY Oswego with a BA in psychology and a master's degree in early childhood. She has been employed with Arise as a caseworker for nearly 15 years, working with children with developmental disabilities and their families. During this time, she also created and facilitated a social skills program for students. She partnered with Fulton High School to teach the program to students in the life skills class. Maria has 2 children who are in kindergarten and 2nd grade at Riley, and she is an active participant of the Riley Home and School, and Maria is looking forward to a wonderful year. And on the very end, I have Cheryl Wilson. Cheryl is a long-term sub in Charles E. Riley for this year. And in 2011, Cheryl and her children moved to Oswego from the Auburn area. In 2012, she enrolled in Cayuga Community College to start her bachelor's degree. She transferred from SUNY Oswego in 2014 and graduated in the May of 2016 with magna cum laude honors. She's currently enrolled in SUNY Oneida for her master's degree in literacy with plans to graduate in May of 2020. She has 3 children who are in the district. Her son is in 10th grade and working on an advanced Regents diploma. Her middle daughter is in the 7th grade in the honors program, and Cheryl's youngest daughter attends 4th grade at Charles E. Riley. So I'm going to thank all of them for joining us at Riley.
Thank you, Linda. Dr. Volkemer, Kingsford Park.
Good evening, everybody. If you want, you can stand up. You know what they say when the bum is numb? No? You don't want to? Okay.
She's not
All right. I'm not on NyQuil or DayQuil. Just saying. So, I have actually 3 new teachers with Kingsford Park and 2 interns that are working at least a chunk of their week through Kingsford Park. So I'm going to start with Shannon Kane. Shannon Kane is new to Oswego. She and her family moved to Oswego a year and a half ago. And for the past 6 years, she's taught 3rd grade at Liverpool Central School District. That was a good steal. And now And now in her first year at 3rd grade at Kingsford Park, Shannon graduated from St. Bonaventure with her elementary and special ed degrees and completed her Master's in Education at the University of Maryland. Shannon is really excited about being a member of Oswego City School District. Welcome. I also have Heidi Wilson. Heidi Wilson graduated high school in 2011 from the Phoenix Central School District. She went on to receive her bachelor's in childhood education at SUNY Oswego in 2015. After that, she completed her master's in literacy at SUNY Oswego. I'm sensing a theme. This is Heidi's 3rd year teaching, and she's eager to see what things will bring here at KPS. Teaching has been a lifetime goal, and she's excited to be working in such a wonderful school district. So I also have Catherine Robinson. Let me get that up here. Catherine is a 2011 graduate of the Oswego High School. She's teaching 1st grade in her former elementary school. Nice. She enjoys volunteering with local Girl Scout troops and cycling, and she's pursuing her graduate degree in literacy education at SUNY Oswego. Welcome. Standing next to Catherine, we have Annalise Winkler. And Annalise is our new school counselor intern working with Mary Lee Taylor. She works part of the week at Kingsford. She's presently working on her master's in advanced certification in school counseling at SUNY Oswego. Ms. Winkler is a graduate of SUNY Potsdam, where she received her Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. She's worked and completed internship experience in higher education, high school, middle school, and now at an elementary level. Annalise has loved every minute of her time she is at Kingsford thus far, and she looks forward to a learning-filled year. Now, the person that you don't see standing up here, she had family members coming in, so she apologizes for not being here this evening. Narmeen Hamshow is our school psychologist intern that we're sharing with Charles E. Riley. Narmeen Hamshow is currently a doctoral student of the school psychology program at Syracuse University. She holds a Master's of Science in Psychology and is working towards her PhD, and with an expected graduation date of June 2019. Narmeen has gained assessment and therapy experiences across diverse settings, including Syracuse City Public Schools, SUNY Upstate Medical Center, and the Psychological Services Center, which is an outpatient clinic run by Syracuse University. She's excited to further develop her clinical skills during her internship under the supervision of Dr. Garudo at Kingsford Park and Sheena Hall at Riley. Welcome to Narmeen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Shore from Layton School. We knew there would be a lot of new teachers because our retiree recognition night was packed.
Hi everyone. So just before I get started, and I will keep it quick, I promise. I just wanted to say that I know that something that's really important to you, Dr. Gui, and as well as the board, is that when we're looking at hiring staff, we're really looking at folks that have ties to Oswego. And I guess I didn't realize, this is my 3rd year here in Oswego, so I guess I didn't realize that that is something that could really be accomplished. And so I'm very, very proud of not only the fact as I introduce all the folks, but every single person standing in front of you has a connection to Oswego. And so we've achieved that goal. And so I wanted you all to know that because I know you have pride in that. So, all right, so we'll get started. Miss Sarah Hadcock, where are you? Raise your hand. Okay, super. So Sarah was born in Oswego, the connection, as I said. She left Oswego to go to college at Texas State in 2009. She came back and went to SUNY Oswego to complete her degree. So even though she left for a moment or two, she did come back. She's certified in birth through 12th grade literacy, as well as birth through 6th grade general ed and special ed. And that is a certification that doesn't happen every day anymore. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, especially kindergarten, right? It's hard to find kindergarten certification. So She enjoys spending time with her family and her husband. She also has a son whose name is Lucas, great name, right? And did I remember this right? Mr. Proud, is that right? Am I saying that? Mrs. Proud. Does anyone remember Mrs. Proud from the middle school as a vice principal? That was a person who was very influential for Sarah. So not only is she connected to Oswego, but sort of a story around the fact that I met with everyone after they wrote sort of their descriptions of themselves. And that was something that was really, she felt was in her heart and really made her want to come back and be in Oswego. And she subbed with us in the past, so she's here in a first grade position this year. We're hoping that eventually she'll have a permanent position. So congratulations, Sarah, and welcome. Clap for yourself. Took a lot to get here, right? Yeah, all right. Our next staff member is Miss Mackenzie Verberg. She is our library aide, and she grew up in Oswego. She attended St. Paul's Academy, and then she went to the middle school and the high school. She played soccer and lacrosse at the middle and the high school, so a lot of school spirit there. And also, something that was a connection for her and I is when I interviewed her, her husband, she left Oswego for a while because her husband was in the Air Force, and he had been stationed in some different air bases that were the same exact places that I had been stationed. So, small world, right? So I thought that that was an interesting fact about her. She did return home to be with her family, and she's very excited to be back with her family here in Oswego. So I guess once you leave, I guess the theme so far is you come back. Hopefully the rest of the cards will say that. She really was just amazed how the teachers affect the lives of the kids. So that was an insight that she brought after just working with us for a couple of weeks. So I really think that she will not only be an amazing part of our staff, but also a staff member that really wants to put herself out there and do extra things, and has already really done that. We do a makerspace at Layton, and she's been an integral part of that. So helping our kids sort of learn about science and what that means for them. So not just a library aide, really gone above and beyond. So congratulations. Our next person is Mr. Fred Dunabelt. Freddie, Frederick, whatever we would like to call him, right? All right. A proud fact he'd like you to know is that he did go to Layton, and now he's a teacher there, right? So how amazing is that? He also would like you to know that he won the Star Award while he was there. And he's very proud of that, and he tells me every day when he gets to ask us one question. So it's a little routine that we have. He attended SUNY Cortland for his undergrad, but then he is now back at SUNY Oswego for his grad work in curriculum and instruction. He's a PE teacher at Layton, but he also coaches he's the head coach for modified baseball, and he's the assistant coach for Oswego hockey, correct? All right, good. The last 3 years, he's been the TA at the middle school, so thank you, Mary Beth, for letting me have him. I appreciate that. He also is very, very excited about the fact that he gets to sort of use all the information and all the sort of, the way that he explained it to me when we talked is sort of all the experiences that he got from Oswego coaches, all the experiences that he got from his teachers. He can really use that in the classroom now, and that's really special to Freddie, so he wanted everyone to be aware of that. And also, we have just a little funny story to tell you about him, in that he wears shorts often because he's a PE teacher, and one of our kindergartners, now you have to remember that Freddie has taught at the middle school, and then he also works a lot with high school kids, so kindergarten can be an adjustment. And I can tell you that personally because I was a middle school person before I became an administrator. So he had a kindergarten, one of the first days of school that asked Freddie why he didn't shave his legs. Because all girls shave their legs. So Freddie had to explain that to him. So, but he made it through and he's still here with us. So congratulations, Freddie. Next we have Miss Melissa Barlow. And she has this huge story I wish that I could share with you because it's quite amazing, but I'll try to just give you the tidbits. She did graduate from Oswego High School. After high school, she attended the Manhattan School of Music. She became a classically trained opera singer, so if anyone needs that for board meeting or anything like that, she's available. She told me, right? All right, good. She performed in Austria, Hungary, and New York. During this time, she accepted a job to live in care with a concert pianist, one who actually was here performing at Minetto at one point. His name is Michael Kingen. I don't know if anyone's aware of who that is, but Michael is on the autism spectrum and really was a prodigy at the time in New York City. And this was back in the 70s when really talking about autism and what that means and being part of the community was not really happening. And so for her to take this position, she shared with me, was really life-changing for her, because then she knew that she always liked teaching, because her mother was actually a teacher here for 34 years, correct? Right here at Minetto. And she splits with Minetto and Layton, and her room is right across the street, or excuse me, right across the hall from where her mother was for 34 years. So she kind of knew it in her heart, but she had to go to New York City and do the music thing to figure that out. But in working with this student and really living with him and understanding what his needs were, she was able to come back. She got her degree from SUNY Oswego, which she was very proud of. She worked a lot with the Autism Task Force, worked with different organizations, continues to this day to work with the Reading League, which you know is part of our initiative, as well as some of the literacy core. In fact, she had this summer, she tutored a gentleman who was illiterate, and she was able to help him learn to read even as an adult. So she's still part of the community in that way as well. And lastly, she just really wanted to know that she wanted you to all know, rather, that she appreciates the opportunity to work here. She's subbed for a very long time in the district, and she's just very excited to be able to be in a permanent position. And like I said, she's our RTI person here at Layton. She's half day at Layton and she's half day at Minetto. So congratulations. Our next staff member is Miss Jenna Earl. She is working as our special ed teacher, one of our special ed teachers at Layton. She was a Layton Lion, and she's proud of that too. So before, I guess, we were all Layton Buccaneers, there was a Layton Lion, and she was that. So she wanted you to know that. She graduated from the high school. She was a JV and varsity cheerleader, so she spent a lot of time on the football field, she shared with me. She graduated with Advanced Regents Diploma in 2005, so she's pretty young. I'm so jealous, right? Okay. She started college at Herkimer Community College, and then she transferred to SUNY Oswego. She got her bachelor's degree in childhood education. She worked 3 years at Little Luke's after that, and we find that a lot of our staff members that we hire have worked at Little Luke's, so that's sort of a commonality as well. She got her master's degree just this May from Niagara University, and I have to tell you, as I try to always say things that staff has gone above and beyond, when we were looking to hire Jenna, she didn't have her DASA training. And so our whole staff was in responsive classroom training for the summer, or most of our staff. And one of the staff members said, I will see if we can get her DASA training, because that was one of the requirements. So not only did my staff really work to try to find that, Jenna had not planned to take it that Saturday, and this was like a Wednesday or a Thursday. She got daycare for her children, and she went to that DASA training right away on Saturday. That's how much she really wanted to get the position at Layton. So really went above and beyond even before she was hired. So I want to give props for that. So congratulations. You're welcome. Next is Miss Andrea Orioli. See how I can say that fast now? Orioli? See, much better than an open day, right? Andrea is working as our school counselor, and she was born in Syracuse, New York. She still lives there. But her connection to Oswego is she actually did attend SUNY Oswego for her undergrad. So she spent some quality time here. She's told me about some local places that might be good for me to, get a college soda or two. I'm interested. That's good. That's good. It's all good. I know, it's all good. She got her undergrad degree in psychology and English. She graduated in 2010. She then went to Frostburg State University, which is in Western Maryland. She graduated from there in 2012 with her master's in school counseling. She did come back to Syracuse. And a fun fact about Andrea is that the haddock paddock at the fair, do you know what the haddock paddock is at the fair? Have you ever been there? Yep. Her family owns that. So she was working so hard. She was working, trying to get ready for school once I hired her, and also working 14 hours a day there. So just another a tribute to the hard work that my staff does. So also she has worked in counseling for about 6 years now. This is her first year as an elementary counselor though. So like me, she has learned that little kids are a little bit different than middle school and high school kids, but she did work in Syracuse for 6 years prior. So, and also she wanted you to all know that, we hear a lot of times when we do these sort of testimonials that the reason why teachers become teachers is because of all the great teachers that they had, which is a great story, sort of like Freddie's. But with Andrea, she really felt like she had a counselor who she couldn't really rely on. And she wanted to be different, and she wanted to make a difference. And so for her, it was just the opposite of what really motivated her to want to do good things for kids. So welcome, Andrea. And then, did I forget anybody? Oh, Miss Michelle Clark, yes. Okay. And this is Miss Michelle Clark. She is working in our 4th grade classroom. She's originally from Pennville, New York. She went to St. Bonaventure for her undergrad, and she actually did TV and broadcasting for 5 or 6 years, and then really decided that she really didn't want to do that anymore, and thought, what is it that I will do? What is it that I can do that I can still work with people? And it had dawned on her that when she was a child, she had worked with her mother. Her mother was a teacher, and she had worked with her mother, and it was something that she always really, really enjoyed. And I'm going to tell that part. Don't forget. I won't forget that part. I'm going to tell that part. That's why I picked her last. Oh, you want to tell it?
Yeah, when you get to it.
Okay, need my card or do you remember?
No, I got it.
You got it.
I know it.
All right. So she really decided that she wanted to work with kids and really remembers that time that she enjoyed working in her mother's classroom when her mother had been ill and needed some support. So went to SUNY Oswego, got her grad degree from SUNY Oswego. Last year she did a long-term position in Fulton, and really I had heard some really good sort of feedback from some other people in the community about how she had done a really good job while she was there. She has been very excited from the minute I've talked to her. She's super excited about everything that she does, and really just is so appreciative of the fact that she gets to get up every day and gets to be a teacher. So, those are the people that we want to hire, those people that are just so excited, and she absolutely is. She's excited as the kids are every day, so that's great. The fact that I'm not going to tell you, because Dr. Guai is going to tell you, is about the fact that
Her connection to Oswego is, and I didn't realize this, as you know, I do all the final interviews of all the teacher candidate recommendations. And sometimes those 10-minute interviews last half an hour. With Missy, it was an hour. When I started teaching, I started as a 1st grade teacher in Central Square. And my first year of teaching in Central Square as a 1st grade teacher was as a maternity leave sub for a great 1st grade teacher at Central Square Elementary named Kathy Clark. And she was out for twins. And Michelle was one of those twins.
And that was 34 years ago, right? I meant that as a compliment.
Yes.
Well seasoned, Dr. Guai.
So you're either
I
really-
just can't stay out of trouble no matter what.
really old or something.
Yeah. So that's a pretty neat experience in Tyler, yes. She's the twin that now lives and is so excited. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my staff. They've been amazing. They live at the school night and day. They give 150%, and so I really think that, if you ever want to reach out, Sarah likes black coffee, so that's just a tidbit. If you ever want to bring over any coffee, she'd love to have it. But they are working extremely hard, and they absolutely welcome you coming into their classroom. So if there's any time you want to come and visit, see what they're doing, they'd love to share what they're doing with you, and show that passion that maybe I couldn't share on a card. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sullivan from Minetto.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here at Minetto. We're so happy to have you here. So we actually have 3 new teachers, and I want to say we're especially proud to have Melissa Barlow with us as our shared reading teacher. But today, I'm going to introduce you to 2 wonderful teachers. First up, we have Rachel Little. Mrs. Little is a proud SUNY Oswego graduate. She has a degree in psychology and in elementary education. She's currently working as a third grade teacher here in our building. And when asked, she wanted you to know that one of her favorite things about working at Minetto is the ability to build rapport with so many students. She was here last year as a long-term sub, and so she has a lot of great relationships with the kids from last year. And she has a wonderful class this year, and they're so happy to have Mrs. Little as their teacher. And I think she's happier that she's here having all of them as her students. Outside of school, Rachel enjoys gardening and homesteading. Rachel and I had a wonderful conversation about beekeeping. My dad was a beekeeper, and so I have a lot of experience with bees, and she's just getting started.
Chickens, right?
And chickens.
Yep. Well, we could talk about those too.
Yeah. Okay. Rachel and her husband, Nick, who's a teacher at Fitzhugh Park, have a goal of building an energy-efficient home with solar panels and keeping bees and goats. She has a talent of folding origami paper flowers and has created wedding bouquets and centerpieces. And in her spare time, she loves hiking outdoors and being in nature. I'm not sure how much spare time she has because I see her here a lot. So this is Rachel Little. And lastly, but not last, we're so proud to share Alex Buy. He's a PE teacher here at Minetto, and we love having him here every day. Every time he comes to Minetto, he has a smile on his face, and I know he cares a lot about the kids here in our building. But we share him with Oswego Middle School and with Fitzhugh Park School. So he runs around the district a lot and gets to know a lot of the kids. He was born and raised in Oswego, New York, and he's a proud graduate of Oswego High School. He went on to get a dual major in health and physical education from Canisius College. And he wanted you to know that his favorite thing about teaching is being able to teach both elementary and secondary levels and in both of his content areas, which is health and physical education. Outside of school, he enjoys being outdoors, hiking the Adirondack Peaks, snowboarding, working out, and spending time with his family. He loves volunteering to coach every afternoon with the Oswego Buccaneer football program and looks forward to having other coaching opportunities as his years go by. We're so proud to have these two people and Melissa here, and I'm proud to be here every day, and I think our staff, when you look out and see all these new people, you can see how much they love our community and our schools and our students. So thank you so much, and please have some cookies.
And Mrs. Simmons from Fitzhugh Park.
Good evening. It's amazing to see how many teachers we did hire this year. It's like, wow, there's a lot of teachers. But I'm very proud to introduce, these three special people, and obviously we're very proud to have Alex as part of our Fitzhugh Park team too. So I'll go with Sonia first. And Sonia Schneider has a Master's of Science and Certificate of Advanced Study and Counseling Services from SUNY Oswego, and she's already becoming an integral part of our staff and working with students and as our new counselor. She holds the certification as a school counselor as well as New York State's licensure as a mental health counselor. Sonia has specialized training in trauma-informed practices, behavioral therapy, and therapeutic crisis intervention. I think you're pretty good with the adults too. Thank you. She has over 20 years experience working with youth and families with extensive knowledge in family development, child welfare, and trauma-informed practice. Sonia's experience has been in community-based services, school settings, and private practice. This gives her a perspective in collaborative problem solving with other service providers. And Sonia believes by providing services in the school setting, she will be more effective in reaching more children and families and helping them address the social emotional needs that impact their learning. I've already been on a few home visits. In her free time, Sonia enjoys running and has competed in several triathlons, and she has one child who has just entered his freshman year at SUNY Portland. And welcome, Sonia. And Marlena. She was a student teacher actually 2 years ago at Fitzhugh, and then left us for a little bit to be in Hannibal, and then we kind of grabbed her back. So this is Marlena Shortslaw, and she's always loved working with children. She originally went to SUNY Plattsburgh to become a child psychologist, but ended up deciding to become a teacher while working in an elementary school for an after-school program. She graduated from SUNY Plattsburgh with a bachelor's degree in psychology and moved back home to Sterling, New York, and began her master's at SUNY Oswego for childhood education, grades 1 through 6. And then while going to school, she worked as a long-term teaching assistant at FITU, and then in a kindergarten classroom, and then she received her student teaching placement at FITU in 6th grade. And then again, I just mentioned that she worked in Hannibal for a year as a long-term sub, and then was very excited to be back at FITU. She's always loved the school, the staff, and the students in this district. So thank you. She's doing a great job at FITU. And Justin Tassos, he began his professional career, not in education, but in business, graduating from SUNY Oswego in 2010 with an MBA in management. And after spending about a year working in that field, he realized that he was not personally fulfilled by that work. So he decided to take a chance and change careers. He left his comfortable sales job to become a teacher's assistant. And once he realized the classroom was where he wanted to be, and it was a classroom that offered him the intrinsic career satisfaction that he was looking for, Justin then began to go to school at Mercy College at night, and while still being the teacher's assistant during the day. So, road wasn't always easy, but he always says it was well worth the travel. And Justin has taught in the inner city school, suburban and rural areas. He's had experience as a special education and gen ed teacher, working as a consultant specialty and classroom teacher. He has experience coaching cross-country, baseball, and basketball at the modified level. Throughout all of this experience, there has been one constant, and that's kids. The effort has always been about kids and the humbling yet empowering thought that what we do today will directly affect what we can do tomorrow. Teachers have the ability to be the change agents and change the shape of the world. So, and all this starts with a daily interaction between teacher and child, greeting them in the morning, letting them know what that they are accounted for, they are valued, and they are what's on the agenda today. And what's more, they are the future. So Justin is our 3rd grade teacher, and we are very happy to have him, and he enjoys every single minute of the day. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Jamie, did you have an introduction to make?
I can. He's not here. He's actually doing a PD course, so we were going to come next time.
Perfect. That's fine. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate all the introductions from the principals. I think this is time that's really well spent. And just to correct the record for the media, we are an equal opportunity employer. We don't only hire Oswego people, but we're more than thrilled when we find talented Oswego grads or those that want to become part of our community. And you can see from the resumes and descriptions that were shared with us tonight that we are attracting the brightest and the best. Thank you again and welcome to Oswego.
Any other items tonight, Dr. Hewitt?
Nope.
Next on the agenda is committee discussion. Would any of the committees have any items for tonight?
I just have a couple of things. I think we talked about this back in July about creating a committee that would be called Community Relations. And so Tom and I are heading that, and just to let you guys know, we're making some headway on it. We've contacted quite a few people that would represent a wide array of stakeholders within the community of Oswego who would sit on this committee with us. So it's really exciting, and I think you would say the same. Everyone who we've reached out to has been very excited to play a role. And basically what we're looking to do is really create a two-way street where we can get feedback from community members, and we can also provide information for them to help push information, all the good things that are going on in our school district out to the public. So it was just one of those things that we identified as something that we need, and that's what we're working on, and we're hoping to have our first meeting coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So that's where we are with that. If anybody has any suggestions for people, you can certainly give them to us, but I think we're doing a good job so far. And then the other committee that I sit on that met was obviously policy, which we just met just before this. And all the policies that we talked about were listed in the agenda, and then some of the ones that we talking about next month, kind of, or our next meeting rather, some of them were just ideas. I talked about the safety policy rather at the last board meeting, just with safety and security being forefront right now in everything that you hear. So we're going to take a look at that one, and then also look at the bullying policy, sexual harassment policies, complaints and grievances, and allegations of fraud. So again, if there's any policies that any of you would like us to look at, certainly let myself or Kathleen or Brandon know, and we can get those on the agenda as well. That's all I have. I don't know any other.
Just, I mean, we're pretty much on the capital or the facilities committee. We just talk about the capital project over at the high school, which is 98% there. It's pretty close. The floor's been waxed. The carpet is in. The tiles are being dropped in. We're waiting on lights to be put in the office space. The knock has been pretty much completed, so it's getting there. We're just waiting on doors and windows right now, and as soon as that comes in, it should be getting right down to the finish line.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. A, minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of October 2nd, 2018. B, approval of the monthly budget status report in the Oswego City School District Financial Report 2018. C, approval of the Treasurer's Consolidated Report monthly budget status report in the Oswego City School District Financial Report August 2018. D, extra classroom activities fund report, Oswego Middle School, September 2018. E, extra classroom activities fund report, Oswego High School, September 2018. F, monthly transfer reports, July, August, and September 2018. G, special education report for October 16, 2018. If I could have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then we will move to the curriculum with Carrie Flex.
Okay, A is NYSMA All-State Permission to Attend. NYSMA is New York State School Music Association. To attend in Rochester, New York, 11/29 to 12/2, December 2nd. The students that will be attending: Jack Dodds, Alisa Adner, Shamika Lalaveras, Liam Tove, Daniel Emmons, and Andrew Bornheimer.
Any questions?
Sorry.
Motion?
Robert, would you like to talk about that for a second? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I know this is a tremendous accomplishment for our kids this year in terms of the number.
Yeah, so having 6 students accepted to attend is really outstanding. I think it was several years ago that we had 5, and usually it's like 1 or 2, and most schools in the county have none or maybe 1, so it's really, really a big deal. They do a solo in the spring, and that's what this year's participation is based on. So it actually goes back to last May, where they have to do a level 6 all-state audition, and even if you get a perfect score on the audition, it doesn't guarantee acceptance into this ensemble. Something like 3,000 students in New York State do a level 6 audition. About, I think it's like about half of them are recommended, and only 900 from that pool are accepted. So there's several hundred people out there that got perfect scores on their auditions and are not going to the all-state experience. So it's a big deal. They bring in conductors from all over the country, sometimes international conductors to work with the kids. They rehearse all afternoon Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and they get to perform a big concert at the Smith Theater in Rochester on Sunday. So it's a pretty neat experience.
And is our 6 a representation of vocal, instrumental, and strings?
Yeah, yes. Actually, technically it was 7 because we had a string student who was accepted, but then over the summer he had moved to Tennessee. So we had 1 string student accepted, 1 band student accepted, and then the rest are from choir.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is personnel with Dr. Sweeney.
A is a support staff retirement. for Tina Flack from Layton. Whereas Tina Flack has served the students and staff of this school district for the period November 27, 1995 to the present, and has been a most responsible, conscientious, and dedicated staff member in service to the school district. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of the Oswego City School District hereby acknowledge the faithful service of Ms. Flack upon accepting her resignation for the purpose of retirement from the position of food service helper, effective December 28, 2018, and we express our grateful appreciation to her.
Motion, please.
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B, professional staff recommendation, leave of absence, Amy Purse, teaching assistant at Layton, for an FMLA leave.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C, extra compensatory position recommendation for OHS, extra comps for Casey Smith and Jim Pierre as presented.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D, extra compensatory position for OMS. Chuck Rowley was already approved as the Downhill Ski Club advisor. This is just amending the stipend because we realized it was previously presented as $751 as a club stipend, but Ski Club goes on a per trip basis.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E, support staff recommendation resignations. These are actually two individuals who now work for us as custodians. So now they can resign from their custodial worker positions. So it's Travis Bivens at the middle school and Sarah Schultz at the high school.
Any questions? Motion?
Move
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
it.
Aye.
Opposed?
F, a support staff recommendation, leave of absence for Megan Wilson. She's now with us in the personnel office, which is excellent. Sorry, Pat. And she could take a leave from her senior typist position at her high school position.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
G, support staff recommendations, probationary positions as presented.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
H, support staff recommendation, permanent appointments, two individuals who have completed their probationary period, Matt Crosby and Nicole Earl.
Any questions?
Just
Motion?
Heidi, you or maybe Nancy
Yep.
better answer this question. How are we doing with bus drivers? I know there's been some moving around where sports trips had to go late. And are we still in need of bus drivers?
We are. There's still a shortage. It's not just our district. It's actually statewide.
What do you attribute that to?
Well,
Good job.
it's actually the state, to get a bus driver through all of the training and through their licensing, there's a backlog in with the state in terms of training and getting them through the program and their testing. I don't know how we can make that any faster. I know that there has been some movement with New York State to try to change that process, but nothing yet.
So you have ample applicants, they can't get through the process in order to.
It's taking them a long time to get through the whole process from start to finish. To be a bus driver, it's a very long process.
I saw we put a banner up on the,
Yep,
on the
we're-
fence.
we're trying everything.
Baldwinsville's got a bus on.
Yeah, on 48.
Or 48.
48.
On 48, right before the.
Webster does too.
Yeah, they're all fighting for them.
Yeah.
Where are we at in our pay?
Yeah.
We're lower than surrounding school districts. Heidi and I were going to take a look at those salaries for our sub-bus drivers. They're really low. We have to be careful because if we raise those, we have a compression with our regular bus driver salaries. So that was on our plate to start looking at those to see if
Just to
we can make
recognize
it,
what everybody else is.
to make it more competitive.
I know all substitute positions are difficult because you're in situations, but especially a bus driver. I mean, it's a different route, you're dealing with weather and kind of weather, and, you know,
Kids you don't know.
tough job.
7 minutes late is a big deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
You know?
It's a difficult job.
Yeah.
Very.
But we do our best every day to try to get as many bus drivers on the road. And our bus drivers recognize the shortage, so they're really cognizant about taking time off and missing time.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I support staff recommendation, change in status. Darlene Meany is transferring from OMS to OHS, and the OHS time increases her time by 0.75 hours per day. Nothing really to do with her actual position, it's just that the shift is a little bit different. And Susan Russell, a school bus driver, she's going from 6 to 8 hours per day.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
J are our substitute and temporary employees.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And K is our updated sub and temporary hourly rates for the 18-19 school year.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is finance with Nancy Squires.
A is for the board to approve a special counsel for our nuclear power negotiations with Ferrara Fiorenza PC. Joe Shields was working with us on the last negotiations. And he said when the superintendent talked to him, they only raised the rates $5 from the last time that we worked with them.
I hope we get more than $5 more.
Any questions?
Yeah, just as I read through all that stuff, Ferrara's the firm, Joe Shields is the guy we want.
Yes.
But I only saw his name at the bottom of the engagement letter, nowhere else through there. Are we guaranteed with Ferrara that Joe Shields will be representing us?
We are. Joe is the technical expert in this nuclear negotiations.
When I reached out to him and had my initial phone conversation with him, I told him we are interested in engaging with him and only him.
I just didn't see his
But the
name.
only way to get to him is through.
You have to hire a staff.
Gotta hire the
Right.
staff. I understand that.
If we ever
Yeah,
dissatisfied,
I'm okay
we
with
would
that.
terminate the
So
arrangement.
long as we
Right.
know that we're.
That he's the guy we got.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
the same thing, Sam. I was looking, reading through the whole contract, and I was like, where's his name? And it's not
Yeah.
till the very end, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will that be the only amount of counsel that we have for the negotiations, or will there be more, or is it basically, he'll lead?
Yeah, he will represent us. He'll be of counsel for our district exclusively for the negotiations with the negotiating team from our district. Mhm.
So he
The other people, oh, sorry about that. I saw your question on email, and she was brought in as a consultant for the county to help support all of us.
Right.
She's from Washington DC. She's a national consultant. We couldn't afford to hire her for ourselves. She wouldn't do that work anyways. But Joe Shields is the leader in New York State in terms of nuclear negotiations.
Shield, that's close enough, isn't it?
No comment.
Motion, please.
Make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B is an agreement with Lake Effect Storm Prediction. They work and provide weather reports for our transportation and our facilities department in the amount of $1,250 to be paid for from our transportation budget.
They're very helpful to us on days when we're calling emergency closings, snow days and delays. We consult with them throughout the day when the weather turns bad. It's a good value.
They're very accurate for
They're
our.
very
They
accurate.
have it.
They're good.
Yeah.
We've nailed it every time.
I know, right. You're
Yep.
loading the buses at 1 and the snow's dropping at 2:30.
Exactly.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C is a memorandum of understanding with Mary Kathleen Bear. This is for literacy remediation for Trinity Catholic School. It's to be paid for from their Title I funding.
Any questions? Motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D is for the board to approve Oswego Youth Basketball for for their use of our facilities.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E is for the board to accept a donation from Mr. Tom Chapa for a Cycle Ops Pro indoor spin bicycle valued at $600.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
I'm gonna have a discussion, we should discuss.
Yeah, we should.
Let's-
I'm going to abstain. Can Tom vote on this? I'm not going to. I'm going to abstain. You have to, or we don't have. Really?
It
Oh,
pass.
I have, oh.
Yeah.
That's funny. Where did Brody go? Where did Brody
Oh,
go?
he left
You
earlier.
can move it to the next meeting,
Or just
or if
lay
you want to
down?
vote on it.
Well, it's
What's that?
It's just
He has no
accept the
personal
donation.
gain.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm just, I thought I should ask.
Okay, yeah, I know, I was going to abstain, but if I can't, then.
Do you have two bikes?
What's that?
Did you have two bikes?
Yeah, sure.
Or you can vote?
All kinds of exercise equipment out here.
Basement ball?
You got, what do you need?
You gotta take your clothes off.
But you gotta come and get it out of the basement.
So I do have a question not related to, well, it's kind of related to, thank you for your donation, but where did that, when I read this,
Yes.
I wondered where this was going to go, and then that made me think about the donation that we got from
Yes,
um,
from Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness.
The Planet Fitness.
Where did all that stuff
The
go?
Planet Fitness equipment is all being held at the warehouse for another initiative that I referenced at another time that I can't talk about in an open meeting yet.
Okay.
You think about it, it's gonna come to you, but we're gonna be talking about it very soon.
Okay. Okay, so it has a place.
Can I
Yes.
have a
Thank you.
motion for
It has a hole.
item E?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
F is a contract with Hillside Children's Center for therapeutic education programming for 2018-2019.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And G is an agreement with AmeriCorps for another 450-hour AmeriCorps member at Layton.
Any questions?
I just did a question regarding just the program itself, because it's new to me, and how we're utilizing them in there. I read down through some of it, but I wasn't sure exactly how we're doing it. But I just wanted to know a little bit about that, because I also looked at 450 hours and $13.79, he gets $3 an hour. Yeah, I love this guy. But no, I was curious, because can anybody speak? There's also some educational opportunities for those. Kara, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's your support?
Yeah, just so a couple of things happen. One of the pieces in the partnership is that they get some tuition reimbursement. So to your point, the pay, if you do the math, right, yeah, you're right. It's definitely volunteer sort of, right? But also they do get that tuition piece, but there is a specific sort of health curriculum that AmeriCorps asks that every AmeriCorps volunteer does. And so what will happen is they will do sort of pre-surveys, post-surveys around healthy kids and what that means for kids to be healthy. They'll run some groups, and that's all out of AmeriCorps. They'll also do a cumulative community project at the end, and that can be either specifically for Layton or it can be something for the whole district. So last year, one of our AmeriCorps workers did a book drive, and that book drive was for the whole community. And so they have to sort of do, that's sort of the commitment that they make for AmeriCorps. And then for us, once they do that health curriculum piece, they also really can work with us in any capacity that we may have a need. So we may have some kids that need to be working on some extra skills groups, let's say. They need some extra support. They always have to be with a certified, or somebody who's certified, so they can't ever be, they can't be sort of a standalone service, but they, as long as there is someone in the room that is certified, they can help us run our literacy groups, they can help us with any sort of our special areas that are getting ready for different programming that they can be a part of. So really, we've been able to really kind of have the autonomy to use them with whatever our needs are. And Christopher Metz, who's in charge of AmeriCorps, he really sort of sets that up for us. And then what happens is, once they're all approved, we interview. I do that with our school counselor as well as our school psychologist. And our school counselor really sort of oversees that and supervises those pieces with the AmeriCorps folks. So,
Great.
does that make
Yeah, it just fleshes it out for me a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
And I appreciate it.
But no, they're great, and I think that we have found that for many of them, they're not sure they want to be in education. So they're not necessarily coming to us with any education background. And yet, at the end, our hopes is that, they fall in love with teaching, they want to be teachers, and they're counselors or psychologists, and so.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I thought we already voted.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is items from the board. Would there be any items from the board tonight?
I just have a couple things. I just want to remind board members, and I know you responded, that on November 2nd, we have our Oswego County School Board Association social event. So that is held at the Foundry, November 2nd at 6.
Yes, and I did check it. I'm not in, I don't have a conflict of interest. So I think we're okay, but yes.
Okay, perfect. So just if you could get your RSVP back to Karen so that she can let everybody know how many people are going to be there, so that they're prepared. And then the only other thing I just wanted to ask, I think it's going to be Carrie, the transmittal that we got, and it was with attendance and like class sizes and all that. I don't know if you guys looked through it, but a couple numbers kind of jumped out at me, and I just wanted to see where everybody's, I guess, thoughts were. But there was one at KPS, class size of 27 for grade 3.
Actually 28, 26, and 28.
Yeah, I was like, looked at it like 3 times. Am I reading this right? That's a very big number for 3rd grade, especially, I think.
That was a class that had, last year was 2 sections. It's still 2 sections.
We had low to mid 20s in, and then this year with 2 sections, we've gotten an influx of a lot of students this year.
Did you say you had 3 sections last year? Or I could, 2? Okay.
2, but the numbers have certainly increased. We've gotten a lot, the building itself has received quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at the numbers from school to school, I mean, KPS is by far the highest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Torch has been out.
So, I mean, just based on stuff that I've read and data that I've read, and, you look at, especially to me, that K3, I mean, I think if we can have our numbers under 20, and I don't even know, like, as far, I know the other part to that is how many teachers are in those classrooms. Is it 1 teacher or 2 teachers, or like in the classroom with 28 students?
There'd be 1 teacher.
Just 1 teacher to 28. Yeah, that's crazy.
Would depend on the makeup of the class. If it maybe had some integrated co-teaching in it, there might be a special ed teacher that pushes in or out.
That would be accurate with one of them.
Yeah.
That would be for the programming available, yep. And then some TA support. But as far as mostly throughout the day,
It's just 1 teacher.
it's 1 gen ed teacher with other support, but not throughout the entire day.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you. We always want to strive to have our class sizes lower. You remember that in the 2016 budget, when we reduced elementary class sections from, I think it was from 108 to 100, we changed the class size guideline from 20 to 25, Jen, it was, right? Yes. 22 primary K2, 25-36 to 25-28. And then we started in this year's budget bringing teachers back. We're going to continue to do this. I just had this conversation at a breakfast at Layton. It comes up regularly as I tour the district. We definitely need to strive to get our numbers lower. We reduced them this year with the addition of, I think, 3 elementary positions. And we're going to continue to do that systematically over the next few years.
So when you say 3 elementary positions, is that in all of the elementary schools?
Yeah, we went from 100 to, I think we went from 100 to 103. And in 3 or 4 years ago, we were at 108. And we reduced in that tough budget year to 100.
So are there any other schools that recognize the same problem that Mary has with the capacity of the 28?
It could happen anywhere, depending on how kids move in and out.
That's my next question,
Yes.
is that, did you have that at the beginning of the year? And if so, what was the influx from the start of school?
It was during the summer when it really kept creeping up.
Okay.
Yep.
So there was movement into your,
Yeah. And sometimes it happens in reverse. We might have a class that starts with 25, and then by Christmas, it's 19 or 20. We love it when that happens.
And the other
But
portion is we're also, the West Side E&L building, so
Right.
English is new language students, regardless of where they are on the west side of the city, they would come to.
So is there anything that we can do to help alleviate that situation?
That's not, I don't have a third grader though. That is accurate because Riley's, I'm actually taking Riley's overflow for the E&L building, or for E&L services as well. But none of the third graders that you're
Right.
talking to
In that
specifically are from.
there's a couple solutions. One would be to start overflowing, which we do that. We're going to cap.
You push
We're
them
capped.
to- right.
When they get to 28, they're capped. We would overflow, but sometimes that creates a conflict too, because you might have a family of 3 moving in, and the 3rd grade has to go to Layton, but the 5th grader and the kindergartner can stay. That creates a hardship for families. The only other real solution would be to add a section, but that comes with a $70,000 price tag. It would go on Nancy's whiteboard, all the things that we are wanting to do. Right, 70 is our FTE.
Right. For 14?
We've had pretty high sections, since 2016, but we're trying to push them down.
What about having like a teacher's aide or something? I mean, just something, I'm thinking about having 3rd graders, 28 3rd graders, and if you have discipline problems and whatever, like the education of those 28 kids
Yeah.
is
Have you found a
severely
value in
compromised.
having
So
an
what can we
No,
do
I
to?
think my recommendation would be, if you're going to spend 30 on a teaching assistant, I'd spend 70 on a teacher.
Okay.
But are those 28 kids in the classroom all day long, or some are moving out to AIS or other specials? I mean, does that
well-
teacher have to deal with 28 kids 7.5 hours a day?
Well, some students would be pushing out for AIS services, which would be approximately 30 to 40 minutes a day. And then, depending upon whether they receive E&L services, that could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 72 minutes a day. So it should have, depends on make up the classroom and how many that I have specifically going out to AIS for that classroom. I couldn't say, not this evening.
But that teacher's
Mary.
still responsible for all 20.
Correct, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mary, if you were to have another session, do you have room for it?
I would make from.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is you could potentially have this situation every single year. You're going to add another $70,000 teacher every single year that there's an overflow. It's been going on since 2008.
It's not every year. It could be every month.
They're even worse.
Right. What we're trying to do is rebuild our elementary faculty systematically and at the same time reduce class size. We went from 108 to 100, and now we're up to 103, and maybe next year it'll be 106. And while we're watching our enrollment data, those are not the first sections of 27 or 28 that we've seen since 2016.
And Mary and I did work together this year to add more teaching assistant staff for buildings too.
Yeah.
So that's another piece just to, did you ask them?
Yes, TAs are helpful, but they're not as helpful as a smaller class.
Right.
Certainly.
be any other items?
I just, on the spin bike approach, back to the spinning. Where's the cyclist? She left, didn't she? Or the student?
Yeah, you don't even own it anymore.
I know, but I'm still connected. I talked to Rhonda, and we talked with Trish Levine about starting a program at the Y, so we could do 2 days a week and get a class, get a group of people from the high school to go down and offer spinning just for high school students, and then also for faculty as well, to integrate it. We're going to put the feelers out, see how it goes, and see if there's enough interest to do it, but I'd like to do one in the morning that starts before school to get revved up, and then, or the possibility of after school. They already have some nice programs that they have down there already, but we'd be able to add on to that.
That's
So,
a great idea.
yeah, so we're looking into it, and
Awesome.
so.
Sure, Dean, early morning.
6 o'clock.
Just what Dean said.
It's a 6
And
a.m.
then is it, I know we talked about this, our next capital project meeting. Is it confirmed that it's going to be, remember we talked about it at our marketing meeting?
Mhm.
We talked about setting up another capital project workshop. It was after the next board meeting, so after the 30th, right? That's the next board meeting?
Yes. We have another board meeting.
Yeah, because we only have one in November.
Oh, yeah.
Cancellation November if we needed it.
Right, gotcha.
But the way that the agendas have been building, we're likely to need it.
Okay.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up,
Yeah.
though. 'cause it's
Just to
not
let
on my
people know,
calendar.
yeah, so
I don't,
so
yeah,
it's
I don't think we finalized it when we talked about it. We didn't
Yeah.
finalize it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Karen might have already left the room.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Did you remember that? No? I had it written down on my,
Yeah.
yeah, because I had October 22nd for us, and then October 30th for this, so.
Okay.
After the board meeting.
After the board meeting.
After the
yeah.
board meeting.
October 30th?
I know we didn't decide on a time, I
It
know
would
we
be
just said
like
the date.
6 o'clock, because that will likely be a short agenda,
Okay.
because it's our third meeting of the month.
Yeah, right.
Would there
That's
be
all I
any-
got.
Any other items from the board? Would there be any need for executive session tonight? Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?